Hi all, in today's session we will talk about Python class inheritance. So today we will see three types of inheritance: single class inheritance, multi-class inheritance and multi-level inheritance. If we go by literal meaning of inheritance as per the dictionary, in that dictionary meaning we can say that inheritance means getting some properties, getting some characteristics from one's ancestors or from one's parents. It means a child will have some characteristics or some properties of his or her parents or his or her ancestors. If we talk about on the same philosophy in the context of Python class inheritance, in that case we will have two terminologies for class inheritance. First terminology will be parent class or a base class. Another terminology will be a child class or a derived class. Let's see that how can we define class inheritance Python. First we will talk about single class inheritance. Over here you can see that we will provide base class or parent class in parenthesis, and the derived or child class will be outside of the parenthesis. Okay, so if you take the example of this child class parenthesis parent class, so this is the way through which you will tell Python that I want to get all the properties, attributes, methods of parent class into child class. So over here in this example I want to inherit properties of this parent class in child class. Beyond inheritance we can go further and extend or override parent class as well. So that we will see in the next session, but for today's session we'll talk about class inheritance in Python. Let's say I have defined a class called calculations. So this is the dot string, so it is a class to do some calculation. Then it will have parameters called a, b and some keyword arguments. What it will return, so it will have this summation method, multiply method, mix method, extra method and extra sum method. Okay, and this is the class methods that I have defined called underscore in underscore summation, multiply, mix, extra and extra sum. So these are the methods of class calculation, and a, b and quarks are the parameters that I want to utilize while calling this class or while creating an instance or an object of this class. So this is the first class that I have defined. Okay, now as we are talking about single class inheritance, so I have defined another class called cal inheritance, which will have parent class or base class called calculation. So as per the definition, your parent class or base class will always be in parenthesis and your child class or derived class will always be outside of parenthesis. So in my case, cal inheritance is the derived class, child class and calculations is the parent class or base class. And as we want to inherit the properties, hence we are going to use this statement pass. Keep in mind that if you have used underscore init underscore method while defining this child class or derived class, then in that case the class will no longer be inherited class. In that case it will be class overridden. Now in this step, okay, so let me execute this cell and execute this cell. Okay, now over here I have created an instance or an object of class cal inheritance. Is a derived class or a child class of this calculations parent class. Now over here then I have provided different values of different parameters. So you can see that in my child class I haven't provided any kind of the parameters or keyword arguments, but my parent class is accepting this a and b parameters values as well as another keyword argument. So that's where I need to provide those values over here. Okay, so I will execute this cell. Now as you can see on the screen that my child class does not have any parameters, it does not have any keyword arguments as well as it does not have any methods, but as it is inheriting properties of child class, so using this child class I can call all the methods or attributes or parameters of parent class. So over here you can see that I'm calling this summation, multiply, mix, extra sum, all these methods of parent class. I haven't defined anything in my child class. Okay, so now I will execute this cell and you can see that it will provide me the answers of the methods accordingly. Another thing to note over here is I have print over here cal dot extra. So cal is an instance or an object of child class. Now as you can see that this cal dot extra, so extra is the method of parent class. Okay, this parent class called calculations have this method called extra. Okay, and when I have print cal.extra, so cal is an instance or an object of this child class called cal inheritance. When I have print cal.extra, so it is providing me the statement that it is a bound method calculations.extra. So this method is from this calculations class. Okay, so this is the bound method of calculation class, and it has been bound, it has been provided to this child class called cal in. It means cal inheritance class has got this method extra from its parent class calculations. Okay, now next we can see that is instance cal inheritance of calculation. So does cal inheritance is the instance of calculations? It will say no. Then does cal is an instance of cal inheritance? So yeah, it is. Then if we say that does cal is an instance of calculation, it will say so. You can see that I have created an object or an instance of this child class cal inheritance, but still it is an instance or it is an object of parent class as well. Okay, so that's what it tells over here, that it is an instance of child class as well as it is an instance of parent class as well. Now if I execute this, so you can see that cal inheritance is a subclass of calculations. This was about single class inheritance. Now we will talk about multi-class inheritance. So over here I will define another class called division. So it is a class to provide division of two numbers. It will accept two parameters a and d. Okay, and it will return division of two numbers, like return d by a. And this is the underscore init underscore method to initialize an instance or an object, and then this is the method divide, which will actually provide me the division of two numbers. Now with multiple class inheritance, it is quite impossible to work with. You have defined your parent classes with underscore init underscore method. Over here, as you can see that I have got two classes. One is division having this underscore init underscore method, and another class is this calculations having this underscore init underscore method. And when we have any parent class with underscore init underscore method, and if you want to go with multiple class inheritance, that case it will be quite complicated. Why? Let's see that. So over here I have again defined a child class called cal inheritance having two parent classes, calculations and division. So when we provide more than one class as a parent or as a base class, in that case it will be called as multiple class inheritance or multi-class inheritance. So over here again I am not defining any kind of method, neither using underscore, nothing. So I have just used pass statement over here. So let me execute this cell. Now I execute this cell, and in this cell I will create an object or an instance of the child class cal inheritance. Okay, and now if we see this cal.divide, so it will again tell me that it is the bound method divide of class division which has been provided to cal inheritance. Same way, extra method has been provided by calculation. Now if I say cal.extra, then it will provide me the result. Cal.divide, it will tell me that attribute error, that cal inheritance object has no attribute. Okay, the reason being, when I have provided these values, so these values has been taken care by this calculations parent class itself. So division has not got any other parameter or any other respective values. So over here in the case of calculations, you can see that the calculation class accepting a, b and any other keyword arguments. So in this case a and b has got their own respective values, and then this z, d and name will be considered as keyword arguments. So all these parameters and their values, or all these keyword arguments, have been taken care by calculations class itself, and division has not got any required parameter or their values. As well as we haven't used any underscore init underscore method in this child class as well. Hence whatever the values you are providing, it is directly given to the parent classes. It is not being provided to the child class, and that's where we have got this error that object inheritance object has no attribute d. So if we have used underscore init underscore method over here and use something like self.d equal to d, then we haven't got this error. But as we want to do the inheritance, so we cannot use underscore init underscore method because it will be class override. Now next thing is, let's say if I reverse the order, as I mentioned this over here, that reverse the base class order. So what I will do is I will take classes it last. Okay, and we'll again define this child class, again create an object or instance. So you can see that division dot underscore init underscore got an unexpected keyword argument z. Why? Because my division class accepting only two parameters a comma d. So any parameters and their values beyond this a and d parameter will be considered as unexpected. Okay, so this is the error that you will get. So as I have mentioned, just to reiterate the same thing again, that if you want to go for multiple class inheritance, in that case please do not use any parent classes with underscore init underscore method, because it won't work in that way. Now let's see how it will work. One more thing before we go for that, dir cal. So cal is my an object or an instance of any class, and dir will provide me all the methods, attributes, parameters that I can access using this cal object or an instance. So you can see that a, b, divide, extra sum, quarks, mix, multiply, summation. So all these are the methods and parameters from division and calculation class. Now below will work. So let's see how it will work. So as I have mentioned that do not use any parent class with underscore init underscore method. So I have created two class without any method. Class road transport have this attributes, way, red signal, green signal, traffic. Then we will have another class called car and it fuel, tire and seats. Okay, I will execute this cell. Now I will create another class, child class called famous car, and then it will have properties of road transport class and car class. So it will have two parent classes, road transport and car. So I will execute this cell now, and now if I execute this cell, you can see that I am able to execute and access attributes of both the parent classes. And what are the attributes or methods that I can utilize with this child class famous car? So all these are the methods having the underscore, then fuel, green signal are the my attributes of parent classes. So this is how multiple class inheritance will work in Python. Next we will discuss about multi-level inheritance. So in multi-level inheritance, what will happen that let's say you have three class. So first class will be my base or parent class, second class will inherit properties from first class, and then finally third class will inherit properties from second class. So indirectly third class will inherit properties from first and second class both. So this is called multi-level class inheritance. So over here I have three class, transport and attribute fuel equal to petrol. Another class I have is air, which will inherit properties of transport class and its own attribute travel equal to air. And last class aeroplane, which will inherit properties of air class and its own attribute sits equal to 100. If you see logically, then aeroplane class is having properties of air class, transport class both. Okay, so over here this is my child class aeroplane, which is inheriting properties of air and transport class both. Now I will create an instance or an object of this aeroplane, so child class. So apl1 equal to aeroplane, and now if we execute this cell, you can see that apl1 dot sits, so 100, apl1 dot travel, so air, apl1 dot fuel, petrol, and dir apl1, which will provide me all the methods and parameters or attributes that I can access from child class of parent classes. Okay, so this is what we call multi-level inheritance. Now the next question that you might have, that can we use underscore init underscore method in multi-level class inheritance? So let's see that. So over here I have defined those three classes with underscore init underscore method. So in transport we have this fuel, in air we have this travel, and in aeroplane we have this seats. Okay, and over here as you can see that aeroplane class inheriting the properties of air class, air class inheriting the properties of transport class, transport is the main or base class. Now if I create an instance or an object of this particular class, let's see what happens. So again apl1 equal to aeroplane 100, and now if I print, you can see that I have got this apl1 dot sits equal to 100. So I have got the answer that apl1 has 100 sits. Now directory, so these are the attributes and methods that I can utilize. So as you can see that I can only utilize this sits attribute only. So I cannot utilize this travel attribute or fuel attribute. So when I have tried to access this apl1.travel, it has given me the error that aeroplane object has no attribute travel. Okay, now let me tinker it more, and I'm saying that travel equal to air, and let's say fuel equal to petrol, and then I will remove this extra parameters. Okay, and now I will redefine all these three classes again apl1 equal to aeroplane 100. Again I will execute this cell. So again, as you can see that I have got it's equal to 100, so I am able to access this stitch parameter and its value. Also I am able to access this directory that what all the attributes and method that I can access of parent classes. So again I have got this answer only, that I can access only its attribute and its value. And as soon as I have tried to access this travel attribute, I have got this error that aeroplane object has no attribute travel. So again, in multi-level class inheritance as well, do not use underscore init underscore for the inheritance purpose. Just use the class without those underscore init underscore method. In next session we will talk about class override. So till then, that's it for the day. Thank you everyone for watching this video.